Hello there, this is Mike Casazza from 24/7 Sports. Do not be alarmed. We normally do this on video. There is nothing wrong. I look great, but we're doing this on audio today because everything else around me looks great right now. I was in West Virginia this morning. It was cold. There was snow on the ground. There was snow falling at the Pittsburgh airport, and it's not like that here at all. I am looking out my hotel room window at the base of a picturesque mountain range. There are palm trees. Sky is blue. There are big white puffy clouds floating across without a care in the world. And I kind of figured if I had that as the backdrop, if I did this poolside, which was my inclination, well, that wouldn't be very fair. I like you all. And I kind of thought maybe doing this on video would be showing off and you wouldn't like me. And I don't want that to happen. I'm here to help. And I want to answer your questions about this NCAA tournament game coming up on Friday for West Virginia. The number 5 seed West Virginia, the number 12 seed Murray State. Teams from West Virginia and Kentucky in the East region out west in Southern California. Don't ask me. I'm certainly not complaining, but logistically that does not make a whole lot of sense. And it might be a bigger issue too if and when West Virginia travels east to play in Boston a couple of days after perhaps surviving and advancing on Sunday. But that is cart and horse stuff right there. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is tackle some of your questions. But first, I need to plug some things for the corporation. How about 5 cents for 30 days of our VIP coverage? We will get you over the paywall, and you can enjoy everything in basketball, spring football. That includes the spring game for 5 cents. That's in honor of the number 5 seed. It's basically 2 months for the price of one, 3 months for the price of two. If you want to explain it to a spouse, that's just my recommendation. But you can find all of the VIP coverage, recruiting, basketball, spring football, whatever else comes to mind or comes to fruition out of the rumor mill. Who knows? This is the time of year where those things happen. But again, you can go find it online. Go check out our homepage, earsports.com. Navigate around, and you'll find it. 5 cents for 30 days. Get you all the way through the tournament, however long that lasts, and then all the way through the spring game, and whatever content you can't ordinarily reach if you bang your head into the paywall. But today, your questions, my answers here from San Diego. And let's start with the obvious one right now. When does WVU get to San Diego? I can tell you right now, 8:30 East Coast time, 5:30 out here in California. The Mountaineers have landed. I think the motivation for this question is whether West Virginia could travel early. Spring break, so they're not missing school, and 3 hours is a difference. So perhaps a team could take off a day early and get acclimated a little bit earlier. That's not the case. Left here today, chartered, has arrived, and will practice tomorrow afternoon. Next question. Give us your best guess. When does WVU exit the tournament? I think Friday is going to be tricky, but I think West Virginia is the better team. I think that while Murray State is good, some of their success and statistics that might put fear in you are the result of competition. I don't think you can sneeze at 13 straight wins in a pretty good conference. And I don't think you can sneeze at 3 very good players. Jonathan Stark, Jay Morant, Terrell Miller. Backcourt, forward. They do a lot of screening stuff on the perimeter. Those are good players. Can they do it for 40 minutes against West Virginia's defense, even a defense that might not be at its best? I don't know. We'll see. Bench points could be an important thing. West Virginia's bench, by the way, not a strength. I think that equalizes things, but I think if you're picking teams, you run into West Virginia players first and not Murray State players, which is to be expected. But some of the matchups I do think favor West Virginia. I think they get through Friday. And then I think Wichita State's a pretty bad matchup for a lot of teams, including West Virginia. A pretty deep team. It's kind of impressive what they've done. All of their regulars, 9 guys, I think, that are regular players. They all shoot over 50% from 2-point range. They have 3 players who make multiple 3-pointers per game and shoot 40% from 3-point range. They score effectively, efficiently. They're a very good rebounding team, one of the best in the country. That is one of West Virginia's weaknesses. A lot of check marks in West Virginia's side normally you would not find matched up against Wichita State. It's hard to predict when they go home, though, because anything can happen in a tournament. A team might make 15 threes and you lose. Your team might make 15 threes and you win. And your team might be Marshall, and your Marshall team may make 15 threes, and we have a very interesting Sunday. I think it's likely, perhaps, that West Virginia goes home Sunday, but that's if Wichita State's there. And we'll see about that. Next question. Interesting one, I think, here. Do you have an explanation for the disappearance of Ahmad the last two games after such a great game against Baylor? We're not going to advance far with him playing like he did against Texas Tech and Kansas. IMO. Well, IMO, it depends against the opposition. Ahmad was out-athleted against Kansas, and that is not my opinion. That is the opinion of Bob Huggins, which probably means that's fact. Ahmad's a big, small forward, 6'8", 240, long, big hands. He can pass. He can do some things. He can attack you inside. He can attack you outside when he's playing well. He did not do that against Kansas. He had a hard time guarding, and I think he carried that to the offensive end. He had a hard time scoring. He was out-athleted, which is concerning. Texas Tech plays very good defense, and they can switch and match up on him and throw bodies at him. And in 2 games against them, toward the end of the season, 3 for 12, 2 for 4. That's not going to do it. Good defenses can really lean on him and work on him, make him be uncomfortable. And what's interesting now is that West Virginia asks him to rebound, and some of his bigger rebounding performances have not been some of his better offensive performances. Is that energy? Is it bad luck? Is it a coincidence? Who knows? But I think the opposition has a lot to do with it. I do think he'll be tasked on Friday. Terrell Miller's 6'8", 240, 245. I've heard different comparisons. George Niang, Jay Crowder, but just kind of pick whatever guy fits this image of a pick-and-pop perimeter player on a mid-major team or even a high-major team who can rebound. You're talking 14.5 points, 7.5 rebounds. Those are good numbers. Shoots 60% from two-point range and 40% from three-point range. And again, he shoots a lot from three-point range. He's not cautious. He has almost as many three-pointers as Beetle Bolden and more three-point attempts than Dax Miles. So he's active. It's a byproduct of their offense. A lot of spacing, a lot of pick-and-pop stuff. He has autonomy to do some things. He's a good player. I think where he'll try to test Ahmad is beating him back in transition, taking the ball off the rim, getting up the floor, catching outlet passes, and going up the rim. Obviously, Murray State does not want the guards and the wings setting up the press. Well, if you're running up the left and the right side, which has happened against West Virginia this year, well, that's certainly to Murray State's advantage. Next question. Does the turnaround from San Diego to Boston make sense to you? I know travel is part of March Madness, but that seems a little on the ridiculous side of things, even if it isn't WVU moving on. Yeah, it's unfortunate because look at the teams that are here. Kentucky, West Virginia, and Wichita. So those are three teams that are coming across 3 time zones. Wichita State coming across 2 time zones. It's a lot of travel. I think the advantage here is what would happen in the next weekend. I think every team here would like to play Friday, Sunday because it gives you an extra day. What you probably would think about, though, as well, if I played Thursday, Saturday, and I advance, well, then I have an extra day because Friday, Sunday is the schedule for the games in Boston. Now, that may be true. But if you're coming out here, I think you want the extra day to acclimate, get your body used to it. And at least for whomever advances here and goes to the East region, likely against Villanova, it's going to be on the same Friday, Sunday schedule. You're getting the extra day. If it was Thursday, Saturday in Boston, that would be a disadvantage. Moving on here, will Bob give Carter and Dax some rest and go back to rotating players? If you have some free time, go to the Gaslight area of San Diego. Amazing food. That is on my list. Thank you. I'll see if I have time here, but that'll be something I look into, I'm sure. To answer your question, though, I don't know. To be frank, Carter and Miles, they can rest in April. What'll be interesting is to see how they get Beetle Bolden into the game and whose minutes he takes. Miles was so hot in Kansas City that Bolden didn't play very much. That affected his offense. He had 3 games in the regular season without a three-pointer. He had 3 games in Kansas City without a three-pointer. I think he was pressing a little bit. Also, it's hard to make shots in the bench, and it wasn't like he was playing poorly and was put on the bench. I think maybe that happened against Kansas for a little bit. But Miles was playing so well that you lose Bolden. But that's fine. Miles performed. Can Miles keep that going? The career says no. It's a 29% three-point shooter this season, 32% for his career. He went 15 for 27 in Kansas City. Is that going to keep happening? Well, probably not. It was 5 for 7 and 5 for 8 the first 2 games and 5 for 12 in the third game. That's trending in a certain direction, perhaps back to the norm. But if Bolden does play more, and I think he can get away with that, maybe even some three-guard situations against Murray State. Is he playing for Lamont West? Maybe. That'll be the one to watch. I think Carter and Miles are going to play as long as they can. But who gets the minutes that might go to West? Who gets the minutes that might go to Chase Hardler? That's something worth watching. Here's the fact about the defense, though. The bench. Since the start of Big 12 play, that's 22 games now? You figure the 18 conference games, Kentucky, 3 Big 12 tournament games, that's 22 games. West Virginia has had 2 bench players score double digits in the same game 4 times. And that counts the first 2 games of the Big 12. So only twice in the past 20 games. That has to change. This would be a good time. Next question. Best guess, how many current non-seniors won't be with the team when next season begins? Well, I will tell you, I think it's 1 for sure. And just because you never know, I'm going to say 2. There are things happening, I think, on the recruiting front. You can look around and find these things, especially if you get that VIP access for 5 cents for 1 month. But recruiting is happening. Coaches are out targeting people. They're already over for next year. So they already had +1. And if you're out looking for people, I only took 1 math class in college, but I know what that means. Last questions. A few questions about Murray State. Are they a big team? Are they a deep team? Score prediction. I'm not going to give you a score prediction because I never do that. I'm here to cover the game and not show everybody how smart I am. I will tell you the score prediction after the game. How does that sound? And I guarantee you it's extremely accurate. But to answer your questions, are they a big team? Are they a deep team? They are not a deep team. They play 8. And 3 guys don't really do a ton outside of a specialty. Their backup big is pretty much like their starting big. Doesn't get in the way, just tries to help out. He knows his job is to maximize minutes. They have a guard who doesn't do much on the defensive end and tries to help out on offense. And they have a swing player who does a little bit of everything. Nothing very well, but does some things. But you're talking Jalen Dupree being the backup big, Byron Hawkins being the little bit of everything guy, and then Anthony Smith, Byron Hawkins being the offensive inclined reserve, and then Anthony Smith being the little bit of everything guy. I think I have that right. Let me punch that up while I'm talking to you here. Dupree's interesting. He started for much of the season and then got suspended, and they brought in the backup big to start, Brian Sanchez. He started 8 games in a row, and he's played pretty well during their winning streak. I expect that he'll start again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And yes, I am correct. Byron Hawkins is the offensively inclined player. Transfer, has no block shots and 19 steals this season. He's played in 29 games, so he tries to get his on the offensive end. Anthony Smith is interesting. Plays about 14 minutes, doesn't shoot a whole lot, gets most of his action from 2-point range, doesn't do anything really from the 3-point line. Gets to the foul line about 3 times a game. He gets you 4 rebounds, an assist, a steal, a block. He really helps, and he helps him out moving the ball too. Averages about 1 turnover a game. He's an X factor to watch. He's one of those guys that, who knows, if he starts attacking, slashing outside to inside, kind of spreads out your defense and makes you worry about things. And are they a big team? They're kind of. Well, again, we talked about Miller, 6'9", 240. 6'8", 240, and then Sanchez and Dupree are both 6'9", 245. They're big guys, but Jay Morant, the point guard, he's 6'3". Hawkins and Smith, they're 6'4", 6'7" guys who can move around and do some things in the perimeter. They rebound okay, but they don't have a lot of depth. So if one of those bigs gets in foul trouble, Sagaba Kanate's eyes get big. Issa Ahmad's eyes get big. And really, if Miller gets in foul trouble, that kind of compromises their offense because he does so many things. So if he's gassed by the press or if he's affected by foul trouble, that really hurts them too. So I think you look for West Virginia to attack inside and then really make them work hard on the glass to see if they can play clean and see if they can keep the ball out of West Virginia's hands. So that's enough for me. I'm out of here. I'm going to go see if I can get myself down to the Gaslight area here. So that's it for this time. I will see you next time. For 24/7 Sports, I'm Mike Casassa.